Let's see, Cecilia, you want to get us started?
Yeah, so we're going to get started. We have an amazing meeting for you. This is the second March meeting for DPMI, and our agenda is packed because we actually have two guest speakers you may know. We've got State Representative Mike McFall, and we're also going to speak with candidate for Attorney General Ellie Savit. But first, as always, we're going to brief you on decriminalization efforts across the state and nation, including notable research in the news. And then we're going to cover some updates on tools that DPMI has been developing and progress by some of its committees, like the digital deck and how it functions, as well as the data collection committee's work. We also discussed the Political Education Committee's candidate survey, and we'll be covering that. Definitely welcoming feedback. And then we're just going to be on to our speakers and hopefully have enough time for some good discussion and your questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris and I'll be watching the chat. Please, any questions that you have, put in there. We'll be monitoring it and we also will be able to get back to you. If you do hear something you're interested in supporting, jumping in and being a volunteer, remember at the bottom of our website, there's a support DPMI link. Send your information to that and what you feel comfortable doing, and we'll get right back to you. So go ahead, Chris, all yours.
Hey, y'all, how's it going? My name's Chris Kurtz. I helped start this group, Decriminalize Psilocybin, Michigan. I worked on decriminalizing plant medicines in Ann Arbor in 2018 through 2020, and we are doing the method that we used in this group, where we helped kind of build an educational group and sent a campaign of educational information to our local city council, and they ended up helping us co-sponsor a resolution and ended up decriminalizing plant medicines for the city. Then our county prosecutor extended those protections for our whole county, and it's been an awesome success for people to be able to use this medicine without being prosecuted. And then we've worked on some other municipalities around the state. I got my start. I was had a lot of addiction challenges in my early life. I went to Western Michigan and I majored in criminal justice out of all things, and I wanted to do something exciting and I wanted to help people. And then I slowly realized through taking off classes about corrections classes and like term limits and sentencing limits and bonds and learning all the back end of the system, I realized that that's not what I wanted to do at all. And I would have a hard time arresting for people for things that I did not believe in. So that was kind of a an identity crisis for a few years, and I lived in Las Vegas. I got caught up in some serious addiction and tried pretty much every medication and treatment under the sun, experimental stuff, group stuff, wilderness programs, and eventually psilocybin. I seek that out when I sought that out when I heard about it on a podcast from a good friend. And I tried that. I just gave up my will and I said, do with me whatever you're going to do. Just please help me with this addiction. And they kind of plucked that out of my brain. They're like, you don't need this anymore. We will be with you from here on out. Even when you're not with us, you can tap into our kind of universal knowledge. And they're like, if you help people spread this stuff and you help people be able to help themselves with this, then we will put you on a path for your life to get better. So they really pulled back the veil, as I'm sure a lot of you that are joining us in this meeting have come to experience. They really connect us with the universe and they show us that there's more out there and there's a lot of value to be had with community and in helping people find this stuff so then they can turn around and help others find it. So, Elena, do you want to go ahead? Sorry,
Um,
just with an introduction. And just to wrap it up, so just quickly, after discovering this medicine, I decided to help work on decriminalizing it um, in uh, in Washtenaw County,
Did you
and then
see? Right.
worked on the oops, I'm gonna mute some folks here. The we had a couple runs at a statewide group, and our old leadership was a little bit like a little bit faulty, and they were a little self-serving. So the kind of originators and the folks that did this first in Ann Arbor, and we know a successful route how to do this, we're finally able to take the reins I now help people every day with this stuff in Ann Arbor, with all types of issues from mental health to, uh, mental health as far as depression, anxiety, physical health as far as Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, end of life concerns. And the most important part is the idea of decriminalization to be able to spread this stuff to as many people as possible. It allows us to do this safely, without being prosecuted. And we have a few safe spots in the state or around the country right now, but it can easily be swallowed up, as the pendulum swings politically. So I've mentioned it before. This is an issue that connects both sides of the aisle, and we need both sides of the aisle. We need all people to join together and fight against the people that are oppressing us and creating false scarcity and trying to get us to fight with each other. Um, so that's why I then started this group, is to work on this at the statewide level again in local municipalities, and then at statewide government as well. So yes, okay, Elena, would you like to go ahead with a short introduction?
Yeah,
Sorry to catch
certainly.
you off guard.
Did you want me to jump to my section of our agenda tonight, or do you want me to just do a little quick intro?
Oh, you can just do an intro real quick. That's
Okay,
great.
cool. All right. So I'm Elena. I work with Chris here in Ann Arbor, and my background is I'm a social worker and psychedelic assisted therapist as well. So I kind of got drawn into working with psilocybin and other plant medicines just because I was looking for better treatment for myself, for my depression, um, having tried every medication under the sun with pretty limited success. Um, Psilocybin really has helped me reset myself, and also being excited about it and sharing it with the people that I care about, friends, family, and eventually working with patients as well. So it's been pretty powerful. Also with like the work that we're doing, the regular work we're doing in Ann Arbor, we just day after day hear stories from so many people that really provide like testimony to how powerful this medicine is. And so the decrim work is super important too, because another thing we hear is like, how can we get this where we live? You know, this is something that lots of communities need. So the decrim work is just as important as increasing access locally. We want to be able to have it available for lots of folks. So that's my little intro.
And I'll just quickly build off what Elena said because I got my degree from Michigan in literature. I'm a PhD, and as a doctor, I taught at U of M and then EMU and promptly quit, became a beekeeper. So I'm highly qualified for this work. I am emphasizing the point about story here because, 50 anecdotes may be interesting, but can be dismissed. 500 is data. So remember how powerful your testimonials are and your stories, and please share them with us and with everybody. Um, my work mainly is as a beekeeper and apitherapy. I also teach beekeeping, and I work with complementary alternative medicine. So I do a lot of work at the intersection of the mushroom and animal kingdoms. So on to you, Chris. Tell us what's new.
Thank you very much. Yes, just some updates around the country and the state, and then we'll jump into Hash Bash real quick. So in February 2026, we actually missed this. The MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, they really released a national psychedelic policy guidebook, and this was just last month. And it's actually to support lawmakers and advocates along the same lines that we're doing with our deck, although this guidebook is a little bit more thorough, in a really good way. It outlines foundational principles and analyzes real world examples to offer an evidence based roadmap for responsible state level psychedelic reform. So they're thinking about this as well. We have not reached out to anyone from MAPS personally just yet, but now that we've again got some momentum and we've got some good direction and some action items, then we're ready to invite some other groups on here. For Hash Bash, there's an article that came out today, that U of M isn't going to allow weed smoking on campus. This is kind of an interesting development. It happened with Entheo Fest, the yearly celebration in Ann Arbor for decriminalizing plant medicines. And the university kind of came down with a hardened point of view compared to where they normally are. And it started with a lot of the Gaza protests when they started arresting people for that. And then they decided that they wanted to control who was protesting on their campus. And EntheoFest, those folks won in court, and under free speech, they were allowed to have their event. But then the campus police, they were searching people's bags at the entrances. They were, if you weren't planning on selling anything there, they were just searching bags and then not letting people smoke, which there's campus rules. That's cool. But there's kind of a culture, I guess you could say, where Hash Bash is a free speech event. And so I hope that people will still show up in numbers and show their free speech however they best will. And I think I'll be there speaking at Hash Bash. I've sent out to the folks that have volunteered so far and want to help us out that day. I just sent out correspondence earlier today. We will be meeting on campus, either at parking structure nearby or just right on campus there, and we'll have a table set up. We will have some handouts to give to folks, and our goal will just be to educate folks about this group, about what we're doing, about this new movement, and trying to get folks to join this meeting with us. And because there are so many people that want to be involved with this type of thing, but it's just about reaching them. So for anyone that does want to also get more involved with the with Hash Bash or any of the other events we have coming up, you can reach out to our email. It's at the bottom of our website. And our email is supportdmi@pm.me.me. We're organized carpooling too if people would like. And also today is the last day to sign up to be a Democrat, to be able to vote at the Democratic Convention on April 19th, to be able to vote in the election for Ellie Savit. I know he will bring that up today as well. It's important that we get as many people there as possible because this is such a massive election and he's such a big supporter of us, but that it's also being decided with so few votes compared to the actual population of Michigan. So there's the potential to make a massive difference here. And so we're setting up a carpool for that as well. We have like 5 open spaces right now. So just reach out if you want to join us that day or if you want to drive as well. And let's see, Hugo, I'm sure you can if you search and so, Michigan Democrats, their website will come up. And you dropped that the handy guide the other week. It's just the sign up takes one moment. It takes literally like 30 seconds. You just autofill your name and address, click a button, and you're on. I'm not sure how to check if you are on the list, but I'm sure it's pretty public, easily findable. Let me see here.
That's April 19th. It's a Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in Detroit. Which convention center?
Oh yeah, Huntington, I think.
Huntington,
now, which is
Huntington.
formerly Cobo.
Cobo.
Yes, as we all know it. Okay, Elena, do you want to go ahead with the deck?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we have been talking about, and today's actually a good day to talk more about it, is education to elected officials and to candidates. So one of the things that our political education committee has been working on is a digital deck. So imagine a digital deck is like a presentation. In this case, it's a PDF that you could email to someone, that you could share the link online. That way it has a bunch of information that's all kind of consolidated and easy to access. So in the digital deck, we incorporated a lot of summaries about information, about legislation, really just putting everything into a nice, accessible, easily navigatable deck. So let me go ahead and share my screen now. All right. First of all, I am going to share how you can get to it. So from our website, if you go to the top right, you've got resources. And then if you kind of scroll down a bit, guides and resources, that will take you to the different guides that we're creating. There is the research policy digital deck. And then you have the option of either sharing the link with someone or even downloading the PDF if you wanted to email it to somebody. All right, so I'm going to go to the deck itself now so y'all can see what it looks like.
Yeah, and this is something that you guys can share with anyone that you come across, whether it's a family member or friend, or you want to post it anywhere.
Yep.
And we will have a whole kind of depot of these resources, like our video testimonials, kind of all in one handy
Yeah.
spot.
And this one kind of gives people a snapshot overview of information, but enough info if they want to take a deep dive into any of these domains. Um, so from our table of contents, nice thing about this is if somebody has a particular area of interest that they're interested in, they can jump right to that section. So, for example, part 3, addiction. So general info on it, some statistics, and kind of like as we go through, you'll notice that we have citations for the research that we're talking about this, um, trying to kind of really pack it full of lots of good info. Um, so going back to the index again, if you jump down to references, every single one of the research papers that we cited in this is in the references with links so that people can actually read more on the areas that they're interested in. So the domains that we picked, um, mental health, PTSD, that's going to cover all mental health diagnoses, depression, anxiety, neuroplasticity and aging. That's where some very interesting new research is coming out with that. So we're really talking about the capacity of the brain to heal, addiction, and then cancer, chronic illness, end of life. And then we definitely wanted to include, a fifth section that's more about like the spiritual aspects of it without, you know, going overboard with that, but definitely the reconnection to self, nature, and community, because that's just as important. And so much of that overlaps with a lot of the other areas, like especially like end of life. But yeah, each of the sections will talk or does talk about what research is there, and we try to incorporate quotations from influential folks. Um, and yeah, it's just chock full of a lot of really good stuff. So this is like, as we've been talking in previous meetings about having resources available to everyone, open source resources. You can take this, you can use this, you can distribute this anywhere where you want. Um, we just want this information to get out there. So also, we would love it, because I know everybody who is attending this meeting is interested and passionate. Go through. If there's something in here, that you really like and want to give us feedback on, or you think that in later editions of this, we would want to incorporate, yeah, please let us know.
Yes, we may add a back to contents button so it's easy to jump back and some ease of life things. But please tear it apart. Let us know. We've gone through this. It's been many iterations now. But don't be afraid. Or if you really, really love a convincing study that has gotten your
Yeah.
attention, send it our way, and we can always update it with the latest information. A lot of this stuff might seem like this is simple, or we've been hearing about this stuff for years because we've been immersed in this world for years. But when you bring this to a politician and on the Upper West Side of the state that hasn't ever heard of this stuff, and you bring them a very presentable, professional, science-backed material, this is like a lot of the types of materials that convinced the Ann Arbor City Council that this was a good thing. And so we're still working with the We've reached out to now a number of task forces. Psychedelic medicine task forces is what they're called, in Minnesota and Maryland, Alaska, and to kind of say, hey, do you have data to share with us? Do you have presentable materials that you use to convince your folks that this was a good idea? Did you run up against any challenges? And then do you know any folks that you'd like to connect us to as well?
Mhm.
So for people that this is all new to, this type of presentation can be really impactful.
And towards the end of it, we do have slides with links to the testimonial videos that we have been, asking y'all for, that really do add that extra layer of uh, personal connection into the presentation.
Yes. Yeah, please still send us your video testimonials. They can be 30 seconds long, they can be a minute long, they can be, hey, my name is so and so, I'm from this city, I support psilocybin decriminalization in my area. It can be as simple or as in depth as you want to make it. Um, Elena, do you have anything else? Otherwise, we can hand it off to Robert.
Mm, No, no, we just love as much feedback from everybody about the digital deck. That would be great.
Yes, thank you. Okay, cool. Then, Robert, then, do you want to go ahead and give us an update on the data collection committee here?
I guess. Okay, cool. So, quick update. Yeah, so last time we spoke, we had scheduled a meeting to start assigning tasks to the volunteers, which we were able to do. Some of the tasks that we were focusing on first are still revolving really around the setup of how we'll operate. I just wanted to show you guys real quick kind of how I broke down the work. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes, here I will make it so you can there. Yes, there you go.
You guys see that? Okay, cool. So I don't remember if this is the scope that I showed you guys, but this is the one that I used, and it's really detailed, right? So we have like phase one, the setup, phase two, volunteer activation, three, sending data requests, right? It's really long, it's really extensive. I won't go into too much detail about it. But basically, we've been focusing on setting up how we're going to operate, what we're going to be sending out. So what I did was kind of break up these larger tasks into smaller subtasks. And what I did was create some workflow streams. Where is it? And this is kind of how I broke down the work. And really the reason for this was for so we can do some of the tasks simultaneously at the same time. So we have like work stream A, which contributes to the scope input, which is really going to determine like how what's going to be part of the scope in terms of questions that we're asking. Then I did work stream B, which is question refinement. So Leanna's been working on refining all the questions that we're going to be sending out to these institutions. And then we have workstream C, which revolves around the infrastructure and design of our operations. So since last time, Richard did take on the task of creating a list of decriminalized jurisdictions. He did a really great job identifying, different counties and states, also dates, and then also how they were decriminalized. So were they decriminalized either through like a voting um, method or was it a resolution? So he was able to take that on, did great work. Leanna's been working on refining all the questions, making sure that, really simplifying the wording and making sure that our questions and the responses that we get are trackable. Things that we can actually put into a spreadsheet and, generate numbers off of. So right now, the next step really is for us to continue building the structure. So I still have to go over like the work that they've done and just kind of like, clean it up a little bit, provide them with feedback. But the next step is really going to be researching like institutions per jurisdiction, right? And I know I showed you guys the folder set up. And again, this is kind of where I'm gonna reiterate just how much help we need. So now that Richard was able to get us a list of all these states and jurisdictions and whatnot, we're gonna have to go in and basically create folders for each of these because we're gonna need to track everything. So for example, these are some that we have just as samples. We have Michigan. Within Michigan, we then have to start filling in all the counties, right? So Ann Arbor, Jackson, Grand Rapids, all of those. So in order for us to get all of those, we have to kind of research all of these different counties and basically identify all these institutions, right? So law enforcement, hospitals, public health departments, we need to find these institutions within those counties. So this is going to take I think some time, just because of how many areas and counties are decriminalized. So that's going to be our next step. And then I'm probably going to have a few other volunteers kind of working on the structure and the framework. So like finishing up the folders, building spreadsheets like contact information, building a request tracker. So the requests that we're sending, we need to be able to track where are we at, have we gotten any responses and whatnot. So that's kind of all we have for now. Um, the only thing I'd probably like to add on is, again, just reiterate, if anyone feels called to help or volunteer, please reach out to Chris. He will get you connected over to me. I know I've said it before, even if it's you want to volunteer like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we'll take it. When Chris connects you over to me, I will reach out and I probably will schedule a quick, maybe 5 to 10 minute phone call. The phone call really is just for me to kind of get a sense of your availability. And if you have any preferences or if you know you're good at doing something, this is a phone call like, well, we'll cover it. And then basically, I will try to work around that and kind of see where we can like plug you in, right? So yeah, if anyone feels interested in helping on any level, please reach out to Chris. And I think that's all I have for now.
Awesome. Thank you, sir, very much. That's amazingly thorough. We really appreciate it, Robert, and everyone else who's been working behind the scenes on that. We will be, I'll have some of that, a lot of that info for you too, Robert. I just kind of have that up in my brain now that you've started the folders for a lot of the, current jurisdictions. Um, so yeah, anyone that does want to help out with that, it can be as simple as Richard is a cancer researcher and he's spent time looking over research data before and parsing numbers. So it can be any type of kind of prior history you have, or you can just jump in and Robert will find something for you too. Let me see here. We got a little bit of time here. I'm going to present our candidate survey quickly. And give me just one moment here. Let's see. Oops, here. Pull this up so I can share this here. And we will be beginning this research as well now. We will be doing this over the next probably through May at this point, at least, reaching out to folks and we'll see what we come up. We'll see who we can get a hold of, who is going to be an early supporter of us and wants to make this change in their community early. Like once we start reaching out to these politicians, it can be as simple as, yes, we're ready to sponsor something. Yes, we already have something in the works. Or it could take a couple of years like in Jackson. So that's why we're kind of doing a multiple fronts approach here. And we are kind of getting these materials and templates ready to be able to kind of launch this all at once here and legitimize ourselves kind of further all at once and kind of take steps to become more public through kind of stages here. And like part of that is presenting ourselves at places like Hash Bash and other activism events to kind of slowly build a public persona. But once we have some of these materials and statistics ready and templates ready, we'll be able to kind of really go out with a little bit more force. And that's when we'll start organizing folks into their local groups, like up in Grand Rapids. And I know there's a lot of y'all up in Ottawa and then over in kind of the Oakland County area as well. Let's see. Let me share my screen here. This one. This one. Okay, so don't mind my busy workspace of tabs here. Okay, so this is what we have so far. This is it's going to be very brief. We'd love to send out a 30-question survey. I'm sure we'd get some responses, but this is more to just kind of cast the widest net possible and get feedback from folks that might be interested or, it catches their eye once it comes across their desk. So there's just basically, are you aware that these places are decriminalized? Do you believe in decriminalization? Would you be willing to co-sponsor or sponsor a resolution? And then how do you consider psilocybin decriminalization? And then would you be willing to speak with us? So if you all know, I know a few of you do know your local politicians or county commissioners or city planners. So if you want to hand this off to people, you don't need our permission to do it. we will be blasting this out in a giant wave here in the next month or two, more probably in the shorter term. If anyone also has feedback on this, they'd like to see something added or changed, I wouldn't mind hearing from. I know Ann Bannister, she is going to help us along with this as well. I wouldn't mind hearing from you as well, Mike, after you talk, if you have any input on this, or if you're like, no, people would never want to answer this question, or so on. Here, I will go back to this one. And okay, I believe that's it for our first presentation here. And I will pass it on now to State Rep Mike McFall. Let me find you on the list here. I had you for a moment. Let me see. Oh, there you are, sir. Okay. You made it back to the top. Let me see. There you are. Okay. So this is State Rep Mike McFall. He's in Hazel Park. He has introduced a psilocybin bill, and he's it's for PTSD. I'll let him speak a little bit more about that, but he's a big supporter of decriminalization and psilocybin. So I will let you take the floor, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate all the work that you're doing on this front. I was on Hazel Park City Council when we decriminalized it in Hazel Park, psilocybin in Hazel Park. I've always thought of Hazel Park as being very forward thinking on a lot of these things because we were ahead of the game on marijuana as well. In fact, we gave Tommy Chung the key to the city many years ago. So we've always been ahead of the game on a lot of these things. We were out of all the cities in the state of Michigan, we were number 7 in the top 10 for that voted for recreational marijuana, a percentage of our voters. So our city is very forward thinking on a lot of these things. I first came to psilocybin, because many people in the marijuana industry also have a very close interest. And so I first connected with a few people through the marijuana industry, actually, that had started already doing some stuff around psilocybin and talking about, the microdosing for people with PTSD. And I've interacted with a lot of people that talk about the life. Not only is it life changing, but it's life saving. I had a press conference on this last year, and we had a gentleman that's a veteran that spoke about it because a lot of people don't realize all of the other health aspects that you have when it comes to PTSD, like with heart conditions and other things, and how life changing and saving this can be. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here by talking about the stuff that you guys already all know these things, but to introduce it at the state level, and because I know Senator Irwin in the Senate from Ann Arbor, from the Ann Arbor area. He has a full decriminalization or full legalization, I should say. The problem with those types of things, and I'm very supportive of what he's trying to do, but the problem is one of the things I've learned in a very short amount of time here in Lansing is that the more you bite off, the more opposition that comes out and the more difficult it is to get something across the finish line. One of the things that I have discovered is because I've been included in some meetings, even with some Republicans. I was invited to a dinner with some Republicans at their Veterans Caucus, they call it. It's a Republican. I was the only Democrat there, actually, but the rest of them are all veterans. And we had a very interesting discussion around some psychedelics and their medical use. And that was great that I was invited to that dinner because I think a lot of people always think that it's all Democrats that are supportive of these things, because I think that was one of the old views of even how marijuana was when we were doing marijuana, as though it's only like lefty hippie liberals that do these things. And as we know, that is not true. I have family members that are very staunch Republican Trump supporters, and they they partake, for medical reasons. And so I think that there is a lot of cross the aisle support, because like my bill that decriminalizes it for people with PTSD has been assigned to, I think the name of the committee is Veterans and Family Affairs. Representative Kathy Schmaltz, Republican out of the Jackson area, she is the chair. And I have a very good relationship with her. I have asked her about taking it up for at least doing testimony at the very least, if we could get, so that people know that as their representatives that we're actually listening to them, and trying to find avenues to improve people's lives. She's very receptive to it. She really wants to have it. She's a big supporter of veterans and against suicide and all of homelessness and addiction that many veterans face. Even though my bill isn't specifically just veterans, it's people with PTSD is how it's listed. And so she is very much in support of it. Problem is that the speaker, because the House is controlled by Republicans, the Senate's Democrats, and obviously we have Governor Whitmer, Democrat, but the House is controlled by Republicans. So Matt Hall, who is the speaker, he kind of determines sometimes whether or not stuff comes up in committee or not. The committee chairs don't always have a free range to bring up whatever they want. But I will tell you, I had a very good conversation with her the other day. At the very least, if we could just take testimony on it, And I told her, I said, whatever you do after the fact, I said, that's on you. I said, I'm still going to keep pushing to get it out of committee and to get it to a floor vote, but I said, at the very least, if we could have people tell their stories, because someone else mentioned about the telling of, personal stories are what gets thing across the finish line. I come from a comms background. I was the comms manager for a national nonprofit when I got elected. I have a much different background than a lot of my colleagues. And so I come from the nonprofit world, and telling the story is how you sell it. And that is it, because it's one of the things that as to why we decriminalized it in Hazel Park. When you have a mom telling us that, she doesn't know if she'd still be here today because without it, because her postpartum was so bad, those personal stories, that puts a face to it, makes it real, when we can associate it with a person, and their struggles that we all are very familiar with, even if we haven't gone through those things ourselves. So that's why I'm pleading with her to at least do testimony so that people can tell their stories. It's very powerful to share your story. It's not always an easy thing, as we know, to share personal stories. But it's very important that we do so. So I would encourage everyone to reach out to her office if you can. I can actually provide the phone number if anybody wants it, or the email address. Just to encourage her to take it up. Her stance on it is more the veteran angle, which is fine. I don't care what angle she wants to take, as long as she takes it up. It's kind of how I feel about it. But she is a good person, and so she is trying to push to at least get testimony, which would be amazing. And so that's why, though, my bill is just is very, very focused, narrowly focused, because, again, like I was saying, the bigger something is that you try to take on up here, the more opposition that comes out, and the less likely it is to go anywhere. So I'm not exactly sure everything that you wanted me to talk about, or if you just wanted me to talk about that, or if anybody has any questions, I'm always happy to answer some questions too. Oh, and by the way, I endorse Ellie. He's also been helpful on this bill too. So, because I know he's going to be on, which is great, to talk more about this. Also, the sheriff of Washtenaw County has also been very supportive of legislation, because I know her and Ellie work hand in hand on some of these things. So, I don't know if he's on or not, but thanks, Ellie, for all of your work and helping with this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, the sheriff has helped quite a bit as well. She's amazing. He's still at his he's running a little bit late. He's not here just yet. He's at an in-person event in Allegan County tonight
Oh, okay.
for his candidacy here.
That's the
And
problem when you're running statewide. You have a lot of area to cover.
yeah, no kidding. He's got to he's organizing buses from Marquette in the UP to bring people down to the convention
Oh, great.
so they can vote. So yes, it's
Yeah,
a statewide
yeah,
effort. It
yeah.
is putting it lightly. So and yeah, he's been incredibly supportive. I mean, you can talk about really if you're like if you want to go into kind of if any insight that you have in how folks are thinking at your level, or any push like the types of pushback or the types of questions you've had where you haven't been able to have an answer for or a quick comeback for, then we might be able to come up with not necessarily tonight but down the road, like work on responses that are non-typical. I know before you also mentioned, there's definitely a number of questions we have for sure as well for you. I know before you mentioned also like one of the questions they asked you was like, if we're gonna medicalize this, then where are we gonna source it, and who's gonna test it, and who's gonna supply it, and then you're bringing rescheduling into the talk. And then you're right, it becomes a massive snowball, and a lot of more people telling you no. And then there's the argument of synthetic psilocybin or manufactured psilocybin that's just either all parts of the mushroom that they try to capture or just the one isolation. And there's arguments for why that's not the ideal situation, whether it's patents, whether it's effects of use, or effective outcome. Obviously, like we are under the belief still that the more people that can get access to it, the better. And then that helps change minds, that helps heal people. And then slowly they can, keep helping others. And then they can seek out then the natural version if they want to. So, yeah, we still haven't come up with an answer other than overregulation. If you do, if people want to test for it, it becomes a little bit like, does it jump right into the marijuana situation where
Right.
marijuana testing is a little sticky? Or not sticky enough, pun intended.
Right.
All
Well,
the
one of the
specifications.
biggest questions I had was the amount, like how much can someone, what a personal size amount is, like, so if you get I mean, if you have a trunk load of it, obviously that's probably not considered a personal sized amount. That was one of the questions that I've received. Also, like you said, where people are getting it from, that I wasn't going to delve into those things because I know that you can order the spores or the seeds or whatever it is. I've never grown mushrooms myself. I will tell you though that I have taken it, and because I had never taken it before and I wanted to see what it was like. So actually, funny story, my husband and I took it and Ubered down to the Electronic Music Festival in Detroit, which isn't even my kind of music, but man, that was great. And so, but I felt like it should be something that I tried to find out, what it was like, the effects it had on me, and so I mean, I felt like I could feel the music, so it was really cool. But it's funny. This has actually brought out some people from the other side. I have a gentleman in my district that disagrees with me on absolutely everything, and isn't always very pleasant about it. And so he actually reached out to me. He's a veteran and was at the VA, and they recommended microdosing to him. They told him he might want to look into microdosing. And so he reached out to me because he knew that I had introduced this because he follows even though he doesn't even live in my district, I think he lives just outside of it, but he follows a lot of the stuff that I do. And so he had reached out to me privately, which that's very encouraging. I had for lack of a better phrase, a right-wing podcaster from the west side of the state reach out to me. He said that he microdoses. And he's like, I don't tell people this. He said, but just because he doesn't want to be judged for it. And also, I mean, he's trying to keep up a certain image for his podcast, but he actually did volunteer to testify if I end up getting, which is great, because if we can get um, nothing against the veteran that I had, but he was from Ann Arbor, and I have to tell you that sometimes people up here are a little dismissive of things that happen in Ann Arbor because Ann Arbor is a very liberal city, and so a lot of people think that it's an anything goes. I've lived in the Bay Area, and no liberal until you've lived in the San Francisco area. So Ann Arbor, while it is very liberal, a lot of people in Lansing, especially on the Republican side, they view Ann Arbor as basically our San Francisco. So it is helpful to have someone that is a right-wing podcaster or a conservative veteran to testify on your behalf when they don't agree with you on anything else. But this is common ground that we can come to, which is great. Because that'll help persuade the people on the other side of the aisle. And it'll help persuade people on my side of the aisle too, because not everybody on my side of the aisle is always a big fan of some of these things either. So, but I saw that the WHO regulates. No one would regulate it under my bill. All my bill does is keep you out of jail from getting arrested if you are caught with it, a certain personal size amount. And so that's what my bill does. I didn't venture into regulation of any kind, because that's more of like what Senator Irwin's package does, like the full legalization package, bill package he has. And so that would be more along the lines of what we've done with marijuana. Hopefully cleaner, because we keep trying to clean up stuff around the marijuana legislation, and unfortunately it takes super majorities in both the House and the Senate, and there's not a lot of agreement on stuff right now to even fix things, not even do anything controversial, just to fix a few things. And so that can be one of the problems with ballot initiatives, is that they're not always written very clean. And then when we need to try to fix something, it's very difficult to get Republicans and Democrats all on the same page sometimes, even if it's something very basic. But that's how those things go. The people speak, and then we have to run with it. Yeah. So to get Republicans on board would definitely be a huge help.
Yeah, that kind of brings me into my next question, actually. There is a kind of well, he's a Michigan congressperson. He's from Louisiana, Jack Bergman, and he has a vacation home in Michigan, so that's why he's one of our Congress people up here. He's a very staunch Trump supporter and very conservative leaning. He has started this caucus with a left-leaning other senator or a congressperson that I need to here, I'll pull up his name. But Jack Bergman is extremely right-wing. We're kind of in a unsure which way to go. We're kind of on the fence. Do we reach out to these people directly and say, hey, here's who we are. We appreciate you supporting this stuff. We want to give you a voice if you think it's helpful. We can help give you resources or help give you a bit, like if you like what we're doing, we can work together, so this kind of thing. I'm not sure though then if that makes us like a target. And other people have had the argument of, if they really don't like what we are pushing of open, equal access, and the point that they're really going for is for profit and to work with some of the pharmaceutical companies or to push a synthetic version, then does that then put us at risk if we put ourselves out there? And I mean, yeah. Obviously they're not necessarily going to waste time taking shots at a small group, but we have plans to be pretty out there and be pretty public as this snowballs. So
I would encourage you to reach out, because the only way any of this is ever going to happen is if both sides come together on it. Like especially at the federal level, the House, the Senate, and the presidency is all Republican. So if you're not in contact with them, that means someone else is. And they're hearing what those people are saying and not what you have to say. So I would encourage that, because there's also I think his name is Dan Crenshaw. He's out of Texas. He actually just lost his primary, so he won't be coming back. But he's very right wing as well. He has an eye patch. He kind of reminds me of a Bond villain, actually, is what he looks like with the high patch. But
Yeah, Austin Powers villain.
but he is
Yeah.
very in for psilocybin for veterans to help veterans and stuff. So he's very much in favor of it. I was shocked to see on Twitter when he tweeted it out because I'm no longer on Twitter because it's a toxic cesspool. But when I was on there, I actually retweeted his tweet because I was like, look, there are things that we can agree on. And so I would encourage you to be in talks with people that you don't agree on anything else with, because if you can find common ground there, you'll be surprised as where you may be able to find common ground in other ways. I mean, a lot of this stuff. I work on like both pieces of legislation that I've gotten signed by the governor have been bipartisan. You know, reaching across the aisle and look, I'm an openly gay Democrat out of Southeast Oakland County. And you know, and so and Republicans work with me on things and stuff. And when I first came up here, I didn't know if they would or not, but it's actually been very surprising some of the things that we do agree on that we don't always realize that we agree on. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out.
Awesome. That is amazing insight. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's well, I'll take that to heart. The we've reached out to a couple of those folks and we've heard back from them, and then it was kind of like, are we ready for this? But I think you're right. I think with our polish and our confidence in what we're doing too, I think they'll be happy to learn that there's groups like us out there.
I don't know how large your group is, but we often there's what are called lobby days here in Lansing, where groups will come up. They'll schedule what's called a lobby day, and it's usually a day we're in session, which is a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. And they'll bring up all their volunteers, and in advance, what they'll have done is set up meetings in different offices to meet with different legislators. You might not be able to meet with the legislators. Sometimes you only get to meet with their staff because we're pulled in a million directions throughout the day. But at least you're getting your foot in the door. They know you're here, and they know about your topic because you'll have a simple one sheet, on some legislation you support or things that you would support being put into legislation. I would encourage that as well. I just make sure that all your volunteers are very knowledgeable about what your goals are and stuff, because you'll get questions about legislation and whose legislation it is and all sorts of things like that. And I'm happy to help you with that if you need it, so that you can, if you ever want to do that, and to help you set up a game plan as to how that would work. But I will tell you, like, there were multiple groups up here today. AARP, they bring in people, especially if you bring in people that are constituents, that live in that person's district, because I'll be honest with you, if you don't live in my district, I honestly don't really care about your opinion as much because you're not the person that voted for me and sent me here. So I listen to what my constituents and the people that sent me to Lansing, what their opinions are on things. So getting in front of your state representative or your state senator is very powerful. We listen to the people that live in our district. But again, if you need help with that, feel free to reach out, and I can explain to you a little bit in detail more as to how those lobby day works. But I find them beneficial when those groups come in, because they often have like home care workers or whoever it is. Like they come up here and they'll sit down and talk to us face to face in our offices. So
Cool.
it's very helpful. Yeah.
That's an excellent idea. That sounds right up our alley for for kind of putting ourselves out there and showing up in person. Awesome. Thanks, Chad, for putting that out there. That sounds like just the best idea. When government realizes like, oh, here's the people that actually vote for us, they're showing up in person and they're taking time to do this and they're educated about this. It usually is pretty impressive. And like that's what was convincing about all, like, when you were doing this in Hazel Park and then in Ann Arbor, when people come in and they want to speak and share their stories and share materials and stuff, and they take time out of their day or put themselves out in public in a place where it's not decriminalized, that takes a lot of heart for someone who has a family and a regular job.
Because I mean, like when the marijuana industry brought up people because of the 24% tax that we passed, that I voted no on, by the way, but that we passed last for the road funding package. Um, I mean, there were hundreds of workers up here, and from every district. I mean, there's dispensaries and grows and all of these things all across the state, Republican districts and Democrat districts. That was a very powerful. It didn't stop it. It didn't obviously, but let me tell you, it took a lot more work for them to get that across the finish line because those people showed up. And so some of the representatives and the state senators up here had a little more difficult time voting yes on it. And so I mean, we went late into the night because some people just didn't, because they heard from their constituents. They heard from people that live in their district. So those things can have a huge impact.
Totally. Yes, there's been God, that was kind of our challenge when our previous statewide group, it was called Decriminalize Nature Michigan, and they were attempting to decriminalize all plant and fungi and animal medicines across the state. And Jeff Irwin was helping us with a bill. They kind of brought it to their committee, and then um, then Gretchen Whitmer got a hold of it. Sorry, I was looking at the waiting room here. Also, Ellie said he's going to join at 7:45. He's a little bit delayed at his in-person meeting, so don't worry, we're not like holding him up from speaking. He's still going to really try to jump in at the end with us and finish out with us. But we should be able to take it up until then pretty easy. But that was kind of what the challenge we ran up against was Gretchen Whitmer kind of said before she was willing to take any stance on it at all, she wanted to see polling numbers. And then same with this committee too. That they were like, we understand there's a group here. We understand that there's other there's like Ann Arbor's decriminalized it. There's other places around the country that have done that, but we need to know that this is what the people actually want. So you could say this is obviously people want the freedom to do what they want, but they want to see actual hard numbers. So that's kind of where our previous group stalled out. And then things kind of just went askew from there. So that's why we are starting with data collection and kind of being able to paint a big picture of the benefits of decriminalization, the pitfalls of areas that haven't decriminalized it, whether it's arrest records, mental health records, economic records. And some of it will be gathered with FOIA. Some of it will be us reaching out. And like you saw earlier, Robert has this awesome folder structure that we're all going to be contributing to. Just a moment here, my dog. Okay, that's good old Diana. She here, come here, sweetie. So yeah, that's the kind of the statistics and showing people that hey, this is what the people want, these are what your local folks want. That's a big part of this. And some of that is showing people numbers, some of that is us showing up in person and actually making these connections.
One of the things I would discourage is I know, and we all get these emails telling us to contact our state representative or our person or whatever. Put in your name and zip code. And then it launches off all of these form emails and stuff. We don't put a lot of weight behind those because I can't tell you how many times because in my opinion, if you really cared about a topic, you would email my office or call me or come to one of my coffee hours or town halls that I have.
Oh no, cut out real quick here. Let me see. Let's see. He might have oh, Mike, we lost you just for a moment here. Hopefully he'll be able to just jump right back in here. We'll see once he gets an idea. Let's see.
All right, Mike, you're frozen. We'll hang up, wait for you.
Well, I think the point that he's making is spot on because as a planning commissioner, I worked as one. If people sign on to form letters and send them in, we just would scroll through those. But personal letters, personal emails, and especially people showing up at planning commission meetings, That was really persuasive. I also
Mm.
just want to say a quick shout out to what Chad wrote. As a beekeeper and as somebody who's married to like Trump's #1 fan, beekeepers cross all political aisles as well as trade unions. So find those folks in your community and reach out to them. You'd be amazed at how politics just dissolve when it comes to treatments, particularly for PTSD and chronic pain. So yeah, trade unions, beekeepers, definitely reach out to those folks and mobilize those constituents. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. McFall.
It's okay. Did my computer drop me or something? I all of a sudden it
Yes.
just yeah. Well, I can be a little long-winded, so maybe it got tired of hearing me. So the
Press the clock. No, no,
yeah,
you're doing.
yeah.
You please keep speaking as
uh,
long as you want. This is
yeah.
brilliant to hear. You dipped out
Well,
right at
I would
about
just
people coming
encourage
into your.
people to reach out directly to their representative. It's a much more because a lot of times because we respond to every correspondence that we get, but a lot of times with those form emails, we'll email somebody back. They don't even remember doing it. So that tells me how impactful and how much they really had an interest in the topic. I would just encourage you to reach out directly. I mean, you can call the office, leave a voicemail, or talk to the staffer. I will tell you, they relay all of that information to me. Whenever someone contacts my office in any way, we go every Tuesday. We have a staff meeting, and we go through all the correspondence that's come in on what topics and how people are whether they want me to vote yes on something or vote no on it, or just how they feel about different things. And so I'm made very aware of a lot of these things. And then we put together a response, and me working with my staff. So those things do actually make it to us. And I know sometimes it probably feels like it just goes into an empty black hole, but my office responds to all of those. But I would just encourage you to personalize it a little more and maybe directly email or call or write a letter. Occasionally, we get the occasional letter too. Not very often, but
Yeah, that's still impactful. Letters are.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think since I've been here and I'm getting ready to go into my third term, this year I'm up for a re-election in my third term. I think I maybe have gotten two handwritten letters, and one was from a classroom of kids. So I don't give out a lot of written letters. It's usually emails and phone calls, but
Okay, sure. Okay, cool. Let's see. We have a couple questions in chat here. Let me see. Elena said, does the state have any public health funding programs to do that's for our data collection, do some of the data collection DPMI was talking about to do products testing?
hmm.
I guess
Yeah,
here.
yeah, that I don't know.
I'll ask her to unmute. Do you want to maybe clarify a little bit, Elena, too?
Yeah, hey, what's up, everybody? I
Hey,
jumped in
how's
a
it
little
going?
late, but I'm curious, because there's a project I'm trying to work on with a different group, and I was just thinking in terms of like if DPMI ever like wanted to do other projects besides the data collection, like is there any state programs that could possibly provide like small funding to do like public health related, like if you wanted to go to like a gas station or a smoke shop and like test psilocybin products for like to see what's actually in them or like do some of that like reaching out or data collection just related things like research based things to promote decrim and like safe supply.
I don't know of any state funding. I know that the University of Michigan has like a psychedelic research because I've actually spoken to a researcher from there when we were crafting the bill. I don't know like if they have anything with along data. I don't know if you
I've
guys
been
have been.
reaching out to a couple
Okay.
places there and then Wayne State as well and some other
Mhm.
places. But I'm trying to figure out this project and if there's like someone who wants to help with like the analytics for like a low cost. So I was just seeing if there was any like state specific like public health kind of grant programs or anything that would fit into if you knew about them.
Not that I'm aware of.
Gotcha.
Somebody has a question about the Kratom bill in the House.
Yeah,
That
here.
actually was up for a vote today, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go, Matt.
yeah, thanks. Hey, yeah, thanks, Representative McFall. I appreciate the work you're doing. Yeah, I just wanted to, I take it you already heard about the bill then. I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask about your position about it. And I was going to ask if you would oppose it.
So I did vote no on it today. I will tell you, I was a co-sponsor on the regulation of it because some of my recovery constituents that are because I have one constituent specifically who runs a recovery club for people that face addiction, and it's that 7-OH, the synthetic, is the problem. They're seeing a huge uptick in people being trying to get off from that. It isn't the kratom itself, it's this synthetic that's made from kratom. And so I would much rather see us do a regulation which would ban the 7-O, but still allow for people to have access to kratom itself. I mean, there's probably going to be something that comes out. I don't think the outright ban that went up for a vote today, which I will tell you, we sat there for about 3 hours because the Republicans didn't have enough votes on their side. And they had to strong arm a couple of their members into voting yes on it. So it did pass the House. I have been told that the Senate has no intention of taking that bill up because there's also a regulation bill that's in the Senate. So that's where their view is as well. I mean, crazier things have happened up here, but I highly doubt that the outright ban is going to move much further than the House. Because I mean, initially Cam Cavett, the Republican that put it up, he had the regulation bill, and then all of a sudden the speaker decided he wanted it to be an outright ban. We're not exactly sure why. I've even spoke to Republicans and they have no idea why he made the switch from the regulation to the outright ban. So if you find out something, let me know because nobody seems to have any idea why he went that direction. And I mean, obviously his entire the Republican caucus, they just didn't have the votes initially, and so he had to strong arm a few of them to get the votes. And I will tell you, no Democrat voted for it. So,
Okay, yeah. Yeah, to answer your question, Elena, it is this ban was just like a blanket ban for all plant material of kratom, which is a little unfortunate.
Gotcha, thanks. There's
Uh,
a subsection of SSDP that's working to fight this kratom and 7-OH stuff. If anyone's interested, I can like connect you guys.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, if you could put us in touch, I'd be interested in just chatting with them. It's like, yeah, Matt, you brought up earlier too, like it just really drives it underground and puts it back into the black market. It doesn't really help anyone with that situation. What do you think the regulation? You think the House is interested in regulation if they were to start, and then the Senate will bring that?
No. No,
Okay.
the speaker kind of made that very clear today by putting that up. I mean, because typically the speaker typically would not put up a bill unless they thought they had the votes for it. So that's part of the reason this is very odd that he put that up and didn't even have enough vote. He didn't even have everyone on his own side, and the Democrats were all no on it. And so nobody on our side was giving him any votes on it. So we're not exactly sure why he put it up even, because usually you don't do that because it kind of looks like a slap in the face if you put up something and it fails, especially if it's your bill. So we were very surprised that it even went up. But I don't think the Senate has any intention of taking it up. But that also means that the regulation, if it does come over to the House, it's probably dead on arrival. That would be my guess. But that just means that kratom would continue the way that it is right now.
Yeah, if I could just add real quick. So I did some work on writing some regulation proposals over last summer, and I know you said that you would support banning 7-OH. but just on the principle of like the iron law of prohibition. So we're already seeing it. Like 7-OH has been banned in some other states. Now they're already moving on to these other analogs that are worse. There's like MGM-15 is a new one. Withdrawals are worse. It has like kappa and delta opioid agonism. They're more potent. They're like 10 times stronger. So I think when I was doing some research in it, there's Colorado did a hub and spoke model for regulation. So they did that. They took their cannabis regulations, they did psychedelic regulation. And I think we might be able to do something similar, where you get subcommittees to regulate kratom as well. And I would propose regulating 7-OH as well. Maybe get it out of the gas stations. Maybe, I don't really have a solution about how to sell it. But like we got to get rid of advertising. We got to get, 21 and older and probably.
I personally, I mean, I've been standing in line at a gas station or a party store and I see these things hanging there. I would never personally probably try to take one of these things because I don't know like where it's from. I don't know who's made it. I mean, there are some things that are probably hanging there that probably should not be getting sold. And the other problem is like I also see a bunch of teenagers standing there, and what is it they're able to get their hands on? But yeah, no, if you have any research on that, I would be happy to take a look at it. If you could send something over, that'd be great. Because I know like kratom itself that oh, by the way, there was not testimony on this legislation either. They did not take testimony on kratom. It was discharged without it even being voted on. And discharged means that they take it straight from the committee without any of the committee members voting on it to vote it out or to not vote it out. And they discharged it and it came straight to the floor of the House today. So, which is also, I mean, that isn't used very often, so that was also kind of an odd situation around this. But yeah, like I said, if you have any information, I would love to see it.
Yeah, I'll email you everything I have.
Yeah, because that's the problem with being a legislator is like we have to know a lot or a lot of stuff, but we can only know like a little bit on each topic, and that's why like talking to groups like you guys is very important. Because I can't always go that in depth on some topics just because I don't have the capacity. No human does with all the things that we deal with up here. So yeah, so any information you ever have, I would be happy to take a look at because it's always very helpful.
And this might be helpful as well. So in doing that research, I don't think there's a good mechanism for regulation for anything in the state. It's just either it's banned or there's no regulation. There's not really a middle ground there.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of voters, like they typically want like some sort of regulation around these things if it's not an outright ban. It always bothers me with outright bans just because it's like just because someone misused something doesn't mean that it doesn't help someone else. Because a lot of people misuse a lot of things, whether it's alcohol, driving your car. Like, it doesn't mean that we ban people driving cars and all of these other things. So I'm not a big fan of outright bans. I think the middle ground is how we end up on the regulatory side, because that way we can bring more people to the table. So, but I get what you're saying.
Thank you.
Totally. Thank you so much. And it looks like Ellie just joined us, so we'll put him on in just a minute here. It's also interesting that kratom does potentially fall under the decriminalized bill for our like plant medicines. It's like indole, amine, tryptamines, and so it's technically an entheogen. And so in some of these other places, it might still be protected. But it's just a really interesting argument, and that some of the analogs can be extremely addictive in the like isolations and extracts.
Yeah. Well, and government, as you know, doesn't move very quickly. And we're always behind. And everybody else is always one step ahead of, because we regulate or we ban something and the people that want to do something nefarious with whatever it is they're already one step ahead of us. That's how, of course you don't want your government working too fast. That's how we end up with horrible auto insurance that we have, but that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time. We welcome you to come back for any of our meetings. if you have something to promote or if you just want to come and speak again. It was awesome having you.
Appreciate it.
And same thanks folks for asking questions here. Elena and Matt, they both help a lot with SSDP. Matt helps with SAPS, and they're awesome volunteers in the community, and they do a lot of like real hands-on work with this stuff too.
Yeah.
Both.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. And I'll make sure I'll keep you in the loop. But again, if any, oh, actually, you know what? I was going to give you guys the phone number for Kathy Schmaltz's office if you want it. I can type it in the comment.
Yeah, please
All right.
put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
because I'll put her email address in there as well. So that way, if you guys could reach out to her office and encourage her to take up the legislation.
Totally. And we have like close to 500 people on our email list. So there's just about 10% of people make it to our meetings generally. Now it's a little bit ratio. But so yes, we'll be able to get a number of people doing this for you.
Okay. I'm looking it up right now, and I will paste it in there.
Cool. Okay, awesome. And really anything that you want to promote in the future, we're happy to give you a louder voice here and do promotion for you on our social media and website and whatever platforms that we kind of keep getting here.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, y'all. We'll go over to Ellie here. He's been at a physical meeting, I believe, in Allegan County, and we really appreciate him taking the time. He's the Washtenaw County Prosecutor. He's been a big supporter of decriminalization, and he's running for state attorney general.
Yeah, and thanks so much for having me. I'm sorry, schedules got a little bit messed up tonight.
It was perfect timing. Perfect timing. It was great.
But I actually only have a couple of minutes here, actually. So I'm hoping I'll be able to come back another time and have a more in-depth conversation. But, I just wanted to say hi to everybody. As I hope folks know, I am a big supporter of Decrim Nature's movement here. As you know, in Washtenaw County, we do not prosecute the small-scale use, possession, or distribution of entheogenic plants. I say that this was one of the easiest decisions I've ever made, looking at the data, looking at what these substances do, and feeling very strongly that nobody should be criminalized for it. But, I'll also say that it's something that's been very impactful for me to hear the stories of folks like veterans with PTSD, sexual assault survivors, people that had been crippled by alcohol dependency, tell me that because of, the sort of safe harbor to the extent we have it in Washtenaw County, they've been able to move forward. And that's been tremendously meaningful to me. So, I will just tell you that you have an ally, of course, here in Washtenaw County. I am trying to make sure that you have an ally in the Attorney General's office as well. I'm running for the Democratic nomination for Attorney General. If you want to vote for me for Attorney General, you have to show up in person at the Democratic Party convention on April 19th. And in order to do that, you got to register free with the party by March 20th. I can draw, it's a 30 seconds. It's a link that's absolutely free of charge. But, I hope to see some of you there. I hope to have some of your support because you can count on this. And I hope my track record proves this. You'll have a supporter and a friend in the Attorney General's office if I am victorious. But first, we got to get through that convention.
Thank you, sir. Very much. We appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. You got to promote yourself literally every county all across the state. I appreciate you taking the time. And no worries. We had an awesome discussion here. We had a nice full meeting. And yes, we mentioned that at pretty much every one of our meetings for the last few months, and we sent it out with our agenda too, getting folks to sign up, and we're organizing a carpool to take out to Detroit. So we'll definitely see you there that day.
Perfect. Michiganders.vote is the short link that we have. I'll put it in the chat for folks that want to pass it along. Again, Friday is the deadline. So anybody pass it along, bring 3 friends. That's what we're telling people. But really appreciate you guys. And I'm really excited to come back sometime in the future to have a more in-depth conversation.
Totally. Once this convention's over in April, I know then you got to ramp up your summer, but maybe you'll have a little bit of leeway there.
100%.
Thanks, man. And we appreciate your support more than I can say, more than words can say. Truly, your support has indirectly and directly helped countless people gain access to this and heal themselves and then turn around and help spread it to other people. So it's like an exponential ripple effect that this has had in our county and then state. So this is just really the first step. And I think these will be kind of like the good old days once we make a lot of this change. So thanks. And again,
Awesome.
if you're promoting anything in the future, please send us our way and we'll give you a louder voice as well. We really appreciate you.
For sure. Appreciate you.
Peace, man. See you, sir. All right, y'all. That was an awesome one. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions to wrap things up here? And we've got some good information in the chat. If anyone can always follow up and say, "Hey, I missed the chat. Please send me this information as well." This meeting recording will be on our YouTube page towards the end of the week. Let's see. Does anyone have questions? Yeah.
Chris, hey man. I
Hey.
just wanted to say that I read in the paper today and the paper or mlive.com. I read that the University of Michigan is really making an adamant statement that they will not allow cannabis usage on campus during Hash Bash. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys have spoken
Yeah.
about that yet, but
Yeah, we just
I just
touched
want
on
to give
it.
everyone the heads up on that. They probably will be issuing citations, I would imagine, but the university is kind of taking a different route now. I think they're following a little different path of fascism and things like that. So, that's the only word I can think of off the top of my head that's not really dirty. So,
Yeah, we just
okay.
touched on it at the top of the meeting, and we brought up because we have a number of people that are going to join us that day at our table to help teach people about what we're doing. And it really changes the overall kind of like vibe and outlook of the entire thing. Like we saw at Entheo Fest, they had people lining up at the entrances, searching people and walking over to people and making them put joints out. So I guess we'll see. Are there going to be 5,000 people showing up? And since Monroe Street's closed, everyone's on campus, and then people light up the joint in a massive crowd of people, like a music audience almost. And then I don't know. That's kind of what the old hash bashes were, where there were too many people to prosecute. But I'm not sure. The U of M has really taken a harder stance, and we're not saying to go and do either way, but other than to go and exercise your First Amendment right, however you can do that. Jim, do you like? I know even in like the organizers of Hash Bash, they were kind of like, we didn't really see this coming either when we were talking to the university. So is it going to affect? Are there any like vendors or anything that, or people are sponsored that are like weed promoters or producers that are now worried or
No, not at all. I mean, they cite that it's federal law and it's part of the Controlled Substance Act, but it just was federally rescheduled. So that's really kind of not very up to date with their information. And it's typical, I guess. I think it's still going to happen. We're not going to advocate for that, obviously. We don't want people to get in trouble. But it should I don't know. It shouldn't be an issue, but they'll do anything they can to kind of look like they're trying to disrupt our freedom of speech event, and it's it's historical perspective and just value that they're overlooking. So
Totally. And it might be, on purpose that they're deciding that, oh, this does give people too big of a voice.
yeah.
It might, they might not be overlooking it. It might be kind of more of like a intentional thing. Which, yeah, like we mentioned, it started kind of with Gaza protests where they're arresting people from there and then kind of want to dictate who can do what in what form of protest on their campus. So, just make sure to bring your vape pens and your edibles and hopefully safety in numbers here if people decide to light up.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thanks, Jim. We'll be there in numbers. Looking forward to seeing you. And looking forward to our next meeting here. Our next one will be on April 1st, and I'm sure we will have some hilarious April Fool's jokes that day. Stay tuned. Thanks, y'all. Elena or Cecilia, do you want to close with anything?
It's just good to see so many people here. What an awesome meeting.
Yes, thank you all. We have an awesome rotating group of people here. And like we said, when it gets warmer and brighter, we know people keep showing up in numbers here. Reach out if you would like to participate in any of our action items or any of these upcoming events, and we will have some more fun upcoming events this summer.
And I know we mentioned it before, but we're still looking for more testimonial videos, or if you even want to write a letter, that would be lovely too.
Yes, thanks, y'all. Looking for the next one. Send us ideas as well if you have anyone that wants to guest speak. They don't have to be a politician. They can just be immersed in this space. All right, thanks, y'all. We'll be in touch. Thank you, everyone, for your awesome work and your time and your dedication to this. And we will see y'all at the next one. Bye.
Bye.